Look at all this loot! DJ, none for you! Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and it's finally happened. Adventure Force reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to review some of their new blasters. I said absolutely. They said which ones. I said these two, and here they are, brand new, just arrived yesterday, ain't never been sniffed. And I think that's pretty cool. What do you think? I think it's pretty cool. Well, you would. What do you think? Brr. Fair enough, you're a bear. Right, so I'm going to take these to the field and fling some foam about and see if their claims on the box, they claim this one will hit 90 feet, they claim this one will hit 80 feet. I want to see if that is even remotely substantiated. I will first be trying it with the long distance darts that they came with, which I imagine have been engineered for long range. I will also test them using the standard Adventure Force waffles, as those are pretty much the standard in the hobby at this point, and seeing what those get as far as range. Then I shall come back here and I shall blather about them. Let's go do this. Right, we're here in the field. Those tiny targets out there are at 90 feet. I have a tape measure going out to 140, and we're gonna see what these actually hit. First, firing the long distance darts, and then with standard Adventure Force waffles. So let's see if this thing can hit 80 feet like they say it can. We will of course be angling up to try to get maximum range. All right, let's go take a peek. Shortest shot came in here at 66, then some at 74, 78, 81, and it looks like the farthest one came in at 85. So, sure enough, up to 80 feet and a little bit over. Let's try it again with Adventure Force waffles and see what happens. Right, now with Adventure Force waffles. Let's go take a look. Right, first one came in here at 47, so that's considerably shorter. 52, a couple of 57, 60, 65, and the longest was only at 68. So those long range darts apparently do improve the range slightly. These are also used as opposed to brand new. Alright, let's try that Tetra Shot. Right, Tetra Shot. This one claims it'll hit 90 feet with the long distance darts. Let's see if it can. Dubious. There is a bit of a wind coming in this way, so that might be adversely affecting it, but let's see how they did. Shortest came in at 63, then 71, then a decent grouping here at 81, and I think that was the farthest. None of them actually made it to 90. May have been the wind, may not have been. Let's try Adventure Force waffles. Right, now with Adventure Force waffles, still shooting into the wind a little bit, but we'll see what happens. Huh, let's go take a look. Again, coming in the low 40s. 44 was the shortest at that high angle. That's kind of disappointing. And then the next grouping, let's see, we had some at 57. And then the last group is here at 67. So they really don't seem to like those Adventure Force waffles nearly as much as they like the long range ones. So, I mean, that's interesting. Right, 80-foot angled shots are all well and good, but it doesn't really mean much if you can't hit a target. So I'm going to be trying to plink my 25-foot pie pan targets and see if I can hit anything. I've got the long range darts. That's what I'm going to test this one with. And see if I can get any ping. I don't know if that fired. A ping! No. No. Oh, there's a ping. Getting a lot of drop. A lot of drop. There's a ping. So, you can hit, what did I get? 4 out of 8. There's a lot of drop. All right, let's try the Tetra Shot. Right, Tetra Shot, supposed to be able to hit 90 feet, which I managed to get one shot off while there was a lull in the wind, and I did in fact hit the 90 feet. So I'm gonna give him that, but can I hit a target at 25 feet? Not like that, I can't. A ping! 1 in 4. Try the other one. Dubious. Dubious. All right, let's go talk about it. Right, now for the talking about it. And I'd like to open up with a disclaimer that I'm going to be reviewing these on their own merit, on what the box claimed, on what I think they were intended to be, as opposed to judging them against, say, expectations that we might have held, that we might have wanted, and as opposed to comparing them to blasters that are arguably in a different league than they are as far as the intended purpose and the intended level of performance. But I am going to be critical about it. I'm going to say things I don't like, and I'm going to talk about things that I think they should definitely consider improving in the future, comparing them to other blasters and how they could be potentially improved on their current state. I will go into in other videos. Obviously, if you've been watching my channel for any time, you can figure out which series these things are going to show up in, probably in the fairly near future. So let's dig into this. We'll start with the little one. So this is a hammer-primed revolver, which I believe this is the first one of the kind outside of Hasbro. Hasbro's had their Hammer Shots and their Sweet Revenges and all of their hammer-primed blasters for a while now, and we haven't seen one produced by anybody else. Any of the major companies, and we finally have one, and it's pretty cool. It's an 8-shot cylinder, which is fairly impressive. The ergonomics, however, is where this thing could definitely use some work. Now, the general form factor of it being huge and bulky and cartoonish, I don't have a problem with that. I have no issue with toy companies making their toys look like toys. Making it very clear with the flared barrel and the size and the ridiculousness and all of that. I don't have a problem with that. But the grip could definitely have been made a lot more comfortable. Now, I have very big hands, and these are obviously meant for kids, and so a kid might be able to get 3 fingers onto that grip and use that trigger, but I can't. And a kid definitely wouldn't be able to prime this with their thumb. Train? Oh, the train's been going by the whole time. I didn't even notice. A little kid definitely wouldn't be able to reach up and prime that with their thumb, and I don't think it was ever intended that they would. If I hold it like this with my middle finger in the trigger well rather than my index finger, then I actually can prime it with my thumb, but that's kind of awkward. Now, if I were to try to do it with my hand on it like this, there is simply no way without very awkwardly shifting my grip, and that's just not practical. So this isn't really practical for dual wielding, which is kind of my whole thing that I like about hammer primed blasters, is that you can dual wield and they don't require batteries, and I like that. And it would be very awkward to try to do that with this blaster. And like I said, I don't think it was intended for that. I think this hook it's clearly intended to be fanned with your other hand. Now, yeah, I would like it if I could reach it with my thumb, but I don't think it was intended for that. So I'm not entirely going to hold that against them, but I would recommend, if you're going to make hammer prime blasters in the future, make it so that you can prime it with your thumb, because that's what we really want out of a hammer prime blaster. That's kind of the whole point, is that we can use them with one hand. So that's my recommendation there. It did hit the 80 feet that they claimed. It actually exceeded it, so that was actually slightly impressive. And I am very curious how the mechanism on the inside works. I have a theory, but I won't know until I actually get it open and take a look. I'm curious whether the spring is actually in here or down in the grip. And I'm sure I could look it up, and I'm sure it's been posted many times, and I've probably already seen pictures of it, I just don't remember. But fear not, I will of course pop this open and take a look at it, and answer the burning question y'all want to know in the future. But for what you pay, because this is a $10 blaster as opposed to, I think any of the other vague equivalents to it are 15 or up, it's not bad for the price. And that's the other thing, like the plastic is, I would say, a lesser quality. It feels a little bit more brittle, but again, that's why it's 10 bucks instead of 15 or 20. So, yeah, for what it is, it wasn't the most accurate blaster, but they made no claims of accuracy on the box. They only made claims of range, which it got. So, not bad all around in my general opinion. We will get into what it could be, what it should be, what I'd like it to be in the future. Now for the Tetra Shot, and this is where I really need to preface that holding our wishes and expectations against the blaster is not, in my opinion, entirely fair. When we first saw pictures of this, we all had dancing lights and dreams in our head of a pump action belt-fed shotgun where it would fire all 4 rounds with each trigger pull and cycle to the next one. And that's what we wanted, and that would have been super cool. And Adventure Force, you definitely need to make one of those. I would go with 3 rather than 4 for it, but give us that pump-action belt-fed 3-round shotgun that we all dreamed this to be, because that would be really cool, and we know that it is possible to make blasters with that much power, because there are already 3-round shotguns out there. Give us a belt-fed one, and we will eat it up, and it will be marvelous. But this isn't that, and being angry at this for not being that, in my opinion, again, really isn't fair, because they never claimed it was that. But at the same time, there are some mechanical awkwardness about it. You can cycle it without actually firing, which is both good and bad. The good thing is it allows you to cycle it without firing it. If you happen, like if you fill this shell and you fill up this shell, top it off, and you want to cycle it in, you can do that fairly quickly without having to pop the top open and shift it over, and that tends to then make it cycle in. Yeah, so the mechanics of it are interesting. The downside is, of course, it is possible to cycle it too early. And you'll have unfired darts in shells here. You might have partial empty cylinders, not quite full cylinders, and if you rotate an unfull cylinder in and you go to pull the trigger and the trigger is lined up with the empty cylinder, and it's not going to fire, and that's obviously not ideal. So I think there could be some... I don't know if the alternatives would be better or worse, though. If not being able to intentionally cycle it would be good or bad or what have you. Ergonomically, though, I actually really like this blaster. The grip is big enough for my hand, and it's actually really comfortable, surprisingly comfortable. I very much like the design on the pump grip. I like that there isn't any bit that sticks out up here, so you can have your thumb there and get a good prime on it. I do appreciate that. I like that it rotates on a pump forward. That is very definitive and very, I have rotated, I am in battery, we're good to go. I like that. The fact that it rotates through each cylinder all 4 rounds before moving on to the next, while kind of weird, I also like that because the part of the action that generally jams on belt-fed blasters is when it's rotating from the next shell in. And this does this 1/4 as much as a single round belt would. And so it is hypothetically 1/4 as likely to jam. Maybe. I'd really have to run it through a huge battery of tests to really confirm that. But the fact that it doesn't rotate as often is kind of neat. But all of that being said, definitely give us a 3-round pump-action belt-fed shotgun. Somebody. That would be super cool. I would love that so much, especially if you could make, again, have the belt be extended so you have this massive belt of 3-round and just go through, sweeping rooms and clearing trenches and stuff. So, again, the price is reasonable, I think, for what you get. It does come with a lot of extra ammo. It is a decent capacity. It's a little bit awkward. It definitely isn't something I would ever want to run as a primary in HVZ, but I wouldn't hold it against somebody who decided to. It does have some distinct advantages, and I kind of like it. Again, what can we do with it as far as upgrading? Well, that's a question I'll be answering in future videos, obviously. Color scheme, again, brightly colored. I like that. And it's kind of hard to actually compare it to any other blaster because as far as I know, there is no other blaster that has a belt quite like this. There are other pump-action belt-fed blasters out there, but none that quite have that mechanism. And that is something that I really like. the innovation. This is something new. This is something we've never quite seen. And while this might not be the winner, the great blaster that changes everything and really revolutionizes the hobby, the fact that they are trying completely new things is very encouraging to me, because it means they might still come out with something revolutionary, that they're not just making the same old things over and over again. They're giving us something new and interesting. And hopefully, you know, they'll hit on something that we absolutely want. Like I said, a 3-round burst belt-fed shotgun. Oh Lord, that would be magnificent. Kindly do that. Put a nice big plunger tube in there and just go to town. That would be awesome, and this is so close to that. We're like, oh, it was so close, but at the same time, you're like, okay, do it. You're right there. Just give it to us. Let us have it. Right. So there is my review of the Tetra Shot and the Thundershot. My thanks to Adventure Force for giving me the opportunity to do this. This is what my reviews are going to be like. So if this is not what you were wanting, by all means, let me know. We can talk. If this is what you were wanting, if you did like this, if you thought this was acceptable, by all means, send me more stuff. I am a shameless fan of getting free stuff. For those of you watching, by all means, let me know if there's some wonderful feature that these have that I've somehow overlooked, or if you feel that I'm just absolutely glossing over some glaring downsides. Like I said, fear not, there will be more critical reviews and comparisons to other blasters and attempts to upgrade and all of that in future videos. This one was to review them on their own merits rather than the comparison. Those stuff will come later, but let me know what you guys think of these, what you guys think of this review, and thank you guys for watching.